Hello, everyone. Justin here from the Hangfire Podcast, here today with another episode of Stones Riffs, a series on our channel where we sit and riff on the Stones. I'm super excited today because today we have someone I've been wanting to chat with for a while, Timo Surbeck, a musician and fellow YouTuber. I came across his channel, Timo Music, a few years ago and have been a big fan ever since. Timo is a fantastic musician who has put some of my favorite Charlie Watts tribute videos on his channel. I've never seen anyone come close to the spirit of Charlie's playing as Timo has, and I'm always impressed watching his videos. The link to his channel is in the description below, and I urge everyone to check him out. But first, let's chat with Timo Surbeck. Welcome, Timo. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much. It's really an honor. Thank you so much for the big compliments. It's my first podcast.
Oh, really? Well, I'm welcome.
Yeah.
I'm happy you're here.
What an honor.
Well, I'm honored you're here because, like I was saying in the intro, I've looked far and wide, my friend, for someone to have the sound. And it's been elusive to me. And I kind of want to start off by telling people how we got connected and how we actually got to this point, because I think it's an amusing story. And maybe some people noticed what it was. But I was doing an interview with Scott Gallupo, who is another fellow YouTuber. And he has another great channel where he kind of deconstructs and gets under the hood of the Stones guitar world and the philosophies of Keith's guitar style and habits and stuff. So he really breaks down all these songs in a series he calls Riff Cousins. Anyway, he's been doing that for a while, and I've always admired his videos. And so he was one of the first people I spoke to. And so we were in conversation, and he says to me, Justin, have you ever seen a Stones cover band? I go, oh yeah, I've seen a couple. I goes, well, I've seen some of them, and they all have one thing in common: they don't have the Charlie Watts sound. Despite how many people say, oh, Charlie Watts is so simple, he's a metronome, he's a blah blah blah, no one can get that sound. And then Scott says, but there's this one guy on YouTube. And I stopped him and I go, yeah. And I say, wait a minute, I know I've seen someone on YouTube too that I also said, wait a minute, this guy's got it. I don't know how he does it. And so I looked him up. I looked, and we were talking about you. We were both talking about the same person, and that was you. And so we were shocked, and we were like, yeah, that's the guy. He is the guy who has
20 years of experience.
Hey, there it is. Fantastic. Yeah, so we had been mightily impressed with your work for the longest time, and so I said I've got to connect to this guy and understand who he is and what he's doing, and so that's why you're here, and I'd love to know what made you, come up with the idea of starting your channel and putting up these videos, which include a lot of these fantastic Charlie Watts tribute videos that you call them.
I was saying that would be like a dream to become true, to have like a drum set that even in the slightest way has like the same sound of Charlie Watts's. Obviously, I couldn't get like an old one as he has from like the mid 50s, but I'm pretty content with my 1970 model, which I actually bought off from a school, drum teacher here, a local one. And then as the years went on, I just realized that so many things have to do like with the details of like tweaking the drum heads and tuning everything up and having the right cymbals, hitting them the right way. And it's just been a dream, like to recreate this sound, because it's something that resonates so extremely powerful within me. It's just like a natural progression. It wasn't like a decision. I want to do this because then I can have a nice chat on a really cool channel. It's all natural, basically. Yeah.
Maybe you want to share with people, because I know there's going to be gearheads out there who want to know your setup. Did you want to share what your setup is on your what you've got on your set?
It's actually a bit a strange garage kit. It's I think it's a 1970. It might be like an late 60 model. If for sure, I know it's a prototype of a kit which has like two 12-inch toms, like the same size. You would just tune in different pitches at the top, like this hanging up system, and then your regular like 16-inch floor tom. And what's maybe the biggest difference from my kit to the classic Charlie Watts natural Rampage 56, 57 is that my model has a 20-inch bass drum and his has a 22, I think. Yeah, that's that. I love all these UFIP cymbals he's playing. That's actually a company from Tuscany, which is not actually that far away. I'll have to go there for holidays because I live in Switzerland. Yeah, then again, Switzerland, Paisti, another great cymbal company, obviously. I have some vintage 505 hats. Yeah, and then I started to use like this 18-inch effect cymbal with the cheese holes in it. It's called like something like a Swiss crash or something. It's a marketing gag, but the sound is really cool. It reminds me a bit of like the thinner Chinese cymbals from the late 90s. Late 80s to late 90s. He used to use them. Yeah, everything that has like this raunchy, like a cat-like hissing sound, I absolutely love. And also like UFIP probably recreated the sound of his vintage UFIP flat ride. You wouldn't be able to find another one like his. Yeah, like a story goes that he once found it on the bottom of a trash can in Paris or something. So yeah, but really cool thing is they I think it has to be like that. They just try to recreate that sound and yeah, have like the same materials and everything. I basically bought secondhand and it came together over the years. Basically, I started out with a completely different Chinese cymbal, which didn't match the sound at all. It was too heavy, too thick, and yeah, it's always like Christmas when I spot something secondhand online. I can add to the kit, and it's just gets me a bit closer to this great sound. And
Yeah, and that's sort of what I picked up on is the attention to detail. Because when I listen to your kit, I'm getting the details come through, and I think the cherry on top was the Chinese crash that you use, because it's such a delicate detail, but that's one of the things that adds that little top layer to Charlie's playing, is that wonderful the density of the sound of the crash. It's just the right frequency where that's what he uses.
it's such a cool different mixture between like a trashy sound, but it still has like this very crisp high ends in the top. It's something, I'm a treble person. Let's face it. I can live with not too much bass, to be honest. But yeah, I think from very early on, from when I was really young, it just resonated in my ears, in my brain. It's a juicy, funky, tasty sound. Tasty is the word.
Yes, absolutely. So you really did a good job to kind of piece it all together, and it was worth the wait. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's also a great way if you have a completely different day job. If I'm ever stressed out or because of something maybe even completely different, I just go to my beloved drum kit and play some music on it, and it's always great. It's my form of meditation, actually.
Oh, that's super great. Yeah, I mean that's what music is in the right way.
Sure.
And and I urge everyone to click the link in the description to check out his videos, because you've done like, I don't know, what, 4 or 5, 6 maybe Charlie Watts.
It's not that many actually. I would need to count them. It's I think less than 10, because some of the other ones are not even Charlie Watts tributes. It's different stuff.
Yeah, great variety of stuff. I love the Gimme Shelter one, the Tumbling Dice one.
Yeah, that was my biggest hit so far. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's from the No Security Live recording, which is it's a nice one. I wish they should expand that. I guess technically they did.
Please do. I feel like speaking about that, just a small thing is, I'm sure you and maybe most of the people listening to this channel have also heard like the later releases from the same tour, like Bridges to Bremen, which is in Germany, and Bridges to Buenos Aires. I don't know. in my ears, they didn't match like the same level of the mix is really subpar compared to like what they had going on in the late 90s. It's so much more crisp and more dynamic. And it's almost as if they knew that, okay, this is a live album by the Rolling Stones. It has mostly rather rare songs on it. We don't even try to mix and master it that you can blare it out in the radio and it stands out. It's that one was for us, probably.
Yeah, maybe so. I see what you mean. I've never thought about it in comparison because, to me, no security is such a divvied up and fractured experience to me. It's because it's not a complete show. It doesn't feel like a complete anything. Really. It's so excerpted.
Completely different shows, chopped up basically from different places and stuff.
Yeah, so immediately I can't think of it like Bremen or Buenos Aires because those are like complete shows. Yeah. But for you're right. There was a smoothness to No Security and a warmth in that master, in that mix. It was very, very gentle, but also very punchy too.
Yeah, at the same time. And if you are able to have both of these aspects, then you really can satisfy ears like mine, or maybe also yours in this case. Because I've noticed chatting to you that you probably have a similar like taste in mixing and final like master sounds in general, which is it's so underrated how important it is to bring like this delicate and very specific sounds of all of the band members. It's not just I'm not saying it's Charlie Watts who is the only secret sauce in his band. It's also you need this specific like woody punchy sound of a Keith Richards riff, and if that doesn't come through because your mixing or mastering is too bad, then let's hope for a remix.
I know, and that's the magic of the band, is that each member brings in their own contributions are immense, and it really makes the special sauce very more obvious.
Yeah. So maybe we should maybe also like the passing of Charlie Watts has been 3 years ago now. Well, bless his heart, his soul. I love him obviously, but we could also begin to focus on what's like Scott does. What's the secrets of a Keith Richards, of a Ronnie Wood solo sound, of a even like my all-time favorite harp player is fucking Mick Jagger. It's the greatest ever. Maybe the greatest still living one. Obviously, there were these legends in the South maybe earlier on, but he really like ate all of this style up and makes his own sound of it. Yeah, great stuff.
And there's no other bigger fan than Keith. Keith loves Mick's playing. So many generous quotes about that, and he says that if you want to get completely raw Mick, unadulterated Mick, that's him behind a harp, and that says a lot.
I agree.
So one of the, speaking of everyone's contributions, and that's really what the magic of your channel is, that we get to focus on the magic of Charlie, because when I'm watching your videos, I can see all the things that I love about Charlie focused. And so I can see you do what he's doing and emulate in a way. So then I can go, oh, yes, that's why I like what he does, because I can see it. Because, when you're watching a live DVD, the camera's not always on Charlie. It's everywhere. So to study your videos, it's a nice little bridge to see, oh, okay, the instinct of Charlie Watts is there, and you can see how he decides things.
Making me smile, because I don't know if you remember that the 4 Flicks DVD set from the 2003 tour, you could actually have like a multi-camera setup. You would use like this funky buttons on your DVD player, and I was always obviously choosing the Charlie angle. It's maybe where I don't know. I probably learned most of his hi-hat technique from that video. It's just like the first angle, you see him during the backbeat, you see his face, you see the hi-hat, and that's it. And it's the greatest thing ever. I wish I could do that on the entirety of the entire concert, but I think it's on the
Yeah.
Monkey Man, which is a great.
Oh, I
great,
love that Monkey Man
I
clip.
love that song. Wow. And yeah, it's another one I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, Select a Stone. It was called. That was the feature. Select a Stone.
Special feature. Wow.
And that's what I enjoy in the videos is that we could finally kind of study and appreciate his technique.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an area that most people, I don't know what the word is. Scott mentioned underappreciated or underrated. But there is a clash of arguments, I feel, amongst maybe musicians, but definitely the fans, where people mistake Charlie's lack of technical aggression, I'll say, maybe, as a sign of limitation, when people may not realize that there are other strengths that he is delivering that maybe some others may not be. But anyway, these are the things that I notice along the years. That
It's funny. You have on the one side you have like this. You mentioned it in the chat with Scott, I think. Like this rivalry you had between the Stones and maybe a band like Zeppelin back in the day, and even like these 20-year-old Keith Richards interviews where he still like takes a piss on Jimmy Page or whatever. No, not so much Jimmy Page, but he said he didn't like the heavy sound of the band. But yeah, it goes into maybe a different direction. What I wanted to try to say is that you cannot like compare them on the same level, in the sense of you're not going to compare like the heaviness of a Bonzo compared to a Charlie Watts. It's a completely different world. This is Bonzo has the big sound, big shells, in humongous bass drum, a really really nice, great punchy stage sound. I mean, yeah, of course he has the bluesy feeling and everything. It's all there, but it's a different approach. They probably listen different. They have like more the approach of giving a more punchy and energetic sound over into the audience. And maybe the Stones started out in a much earlier day where like the song was in the center of things, and it's all playing for the song. Basically, that's what Charlie Watts repeated over and over in all of his interviews. I'm a band player. I play for the song. I play for the band. It's not about me doing like a large, complicated virtuoso drum solo. It's about building like the fundament of a really dancey, bouncy sound. And yeah, let's face it. I mean, of course, Zeppelin had some really cool, funky dance tracks, but it's not their speciality. So it's maybe a bit of a weird approach to compare so completely different bands, only because they emerged in the same region of years.
And one of the things that I've always, in my mind, try to rationalize it, and that's from a simplistic view, because I'm not a drummer, but I have played in bands and played with other musicians, so I understand the technicality of things to a certain degree. But even if you want to compare, let's take, for example, Bonham, but really you can replace him with any other drummer for this conversation. But for Charlie, to me, Charlie was one of his strengths was that he was the king to me of the backbeat, and I don't know if people understand what that means, or maybe do you think is that too simple a simplification to say that, because I think that's a very big word and people don't understand what that really entails.
Yeah, it's a really good question, because obviously we have other guys from like the same era where it's all these great bands from emerging from the 60s. They have all this great backbeat, but yeah, it's maybe more the question what makes his backbeat different than the one of the other guys. And now I remember what I wanted to try to say before. So yeah, at this drum clinic, it was pointed out that in this like very short period between like what was the year that Hound Dog by Elvis Presley was released?
Like 56.
56 even. Okay, you have plus 10 years or a little bit more. It's really not a long time, and then you get Purple Haze, Jimi Hendrix. Completely different sound, complete different approach, and I would just like prefer to join like the notion that Charlie Watts always made in his interviews of it's all about the listening. You're listening different, but the consistency of the playing and like wanting to make great music, it's all the same. So, yeah.
And he's mentioned that rock and roll to him is, quote, dance music.
Yeah. Maybe one more other thing about this backbeat notion is that they always say, yeah, well, if the band as a band is interviewed, they sometimes say, with our band, it's not that we build everything on top, the drummer and the bass part, but from early on, like Charlie Watts always had like the amp of Keith Richards like right to his left or his right, whatever, right next to the drum kit. Ever since in the early days of the 60s, where he didn't even have any kind of like stage monitoring, nothing like that. So what really is going on is probably that you have like Keith Richards as the main rhythm machine of the band. He always would say that in an interview. He emphasized that on just like a recent one. It's and also if they ask him what would be your second to most favorite instrument, it would be the drums, and I would love to hear some recordings of Keith Richards drumming. Obviously, that would be the greatest thing ever. But yeah, I could imagine that the same way that probably Charlie Watts listened to his like friends, forever friends from early on, like Dave Green, his next door neighbor, double bassist friend. I could imagine that if they played in this jazz context, or maybe even rhythm and blues, they played maybe two together. I don't really know. But in this setting, the drummer obviously follows the double bassist. It's maybe a bit a strange approach that then in the Rolling Stones band, the drummer would follow the rhythm guitarist. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's the drummer following something that's the rhythmic fundament of the band, and it's not a drummer setting something and everything is like put on top of it. So that's maybe another way to look at it.
Yeah, it's very unique. Very unique to them. Sure. And a lot of people want to just assume that the only special ingredient to Charlie's playing was the hi-hat move. The whole thing that he would skip, what, on 2 and 4? Is that where he would skip not hitting it?
He just skips the hi-hat on the backbeat, basically.
Oh, okay.
And there is a really cool interview where it's like a round of all great drummers, Jim Keltner and everybody's there. I think even TJ Fontana is also there shortly before his passing. It's the coolest interview. Then I think Jim Keltner brought this question up to Charlie. Where did you get this hi-hat technique from? And he actually doesn't really remember, I think, where he got it from, but he remembers a clear reason why he does it, and the reason is really that you basically have more room for the backbeat to build up with when you play traditionally. And me in my youth, I always was like urged to explain myself, why the hell do you hold the left stick like that? But it's just, yeah, I never had a drum lesson. I just looked at Charlie Watts videos, so there's that. Yeah, it's maybe the best way to really build up this large and huge impact on the backbeat, which the later period of the band, the more important I think that was. And so you wouldn't ideally you wouldn't necessarily see him doing that in the early 70s, maybe sometimes, but not always. But later on, it was like a basic ingredient that stayed.
That's fantastic. And see, that's a detail that I don't think many people would have. I don't think Charlie may have necessarily would have ever explained it that way too. That I do it just to build up that backbeat.
Well, yeah, his typical first part of the answer was always, "Oh, I do that. I don't actually notice or something." It's just the most modest guy ever.
Yeah. He wouldn't be able to verbalize why he does it,
And I would like to add something on top of that. You mentioned some of these Rolling Stones cover bands and stuff where like the drummer is not really getting the point. They usually, what they do is they really like robotically imitate this. But what they don't see is that Charlie Watts always closes his hats on the backbeat with his left foot. And that's also something that's really part of the secret sauce. To be honest, I only learned it like 6 years ago or something. I had to really completely relearn all my left foot hi-hat technique, but it was so much worth it because it's really not complicated actually. He does it on the backbeat or sometimes he doubles it up. This was the left foot, and what you can do with all of that is fantastic. You can fill it up so much because you can even sometimes he even opens the hats slightly. It's not just that he pushes it down and then it stays. It's always a mixture of everything, but like the movement, the general movement is you can count basically on a hi-hat closing on the backbeat, and that's maybe also important to focus on because if you just don't do that, you get really only the snare hit on the backbeat, but no hi-hat sound at all. But with the closing motion of the hats, you still get like it's maybe not the from this really large tier like fat sticks. It's not the same as hitting on top, but it's still like it's there, and you can. I think you can hear it. Subtlety.
A very subtle detail, and some people might go, okay, so who cares? But why it's a big deal, I think people don't realize, is that all adds to the synchronization of the swing. I mean, that's the thing about Charlie swings like no other person. So like all these little tricks, I find that it looks like it creates this little mechanism that helps the swing stay always tight and it never falters. He's always keeping the tension to me, and I think a lot of these tricks all work together for that to guarantee that he's always tight.
It's very clear where the taste of his musical experience comes from. It's all these great jazz records. I mean, yeah, we fans, we all know that. I mean, Charlie Watts, biggest Charlie Parker fan, obviously. I mean, all these guys who played with Charlie Parker, for example, Stan Levy, they all close the hi-hat on the backbeat. It's like a parallel you can draw between these two styles. There's this, I don't know if you know that, it's like a very unprofessionally shot video of Charlie Watts and Jim Keltner visiting Stan Levy, who used to be the drummer of Charlie Parker back in the day, in like 2003 or something, on tour. And like Jim Keltner introduced them to each other and made it possible to have them get to know each other. It's the cutest thing ever. You see Charlie completely euphoric, and he's really like meeting someone who used to be friends and play with one of his absolute heroes.
I don't think I've seen that clip. That sounds great.
I should send it. You can maybe add it to the description. Then it's so cute.
Oh, it's great. I love that. Oh no, please send it to me
I mean, the video is not the greatest quality, but the sound is everything is there. You really can hear them exchange some private conversations, and Charlie Watts is actually asking Stan Levy if he liked like the biopic movie of Charlie Parker.
See, so it's like any other fan would ask.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
With all that stuff about how he approached the fills and
Mm.
all that stuff, you sent me these cool videos explaining how much he puts his body into it,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and you know the hi hat move is just one of many things that would involve how his body contributes to the product.
That's just it's just
Ah,
the shoulder move. That's yeah. I took some notes on that, and it's as I said in this video, which you maybe show the people or not, I don't know. Yeah, he has like this really rigid way of holding his right stick when playing the hi hat. So as I said in this video, he's not like playing the stick and working a lot with the rebound. He's more like pumping the entire energy from the shoulders down to the instrument, and really like in a robust way. It's not giving too much bounce, but at the same time, yeah, you can see him in all these videos. And my very good drummer friend Dave Flucci sometimes accuses me of having like the same shoulder ticks, because you see this when it's really like when they're locked in the groove, the entire band. You see it, for example, on this Monkey Man Select Stone thingy. They just get into this bridge there, and he looks like two keys, and they're so
yeah.
it's always like two very different drills playing together, which gets maybe into like a middle way of middle ground of greatness.
You'd also do a good demonstration of something that I guess I've noticed but never made it a point to remember, with
Mhm.
even the way he hits or slams into his ride. He uses
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of the stick, you say, to do that.
Mm. Yeah, especially when he's well, yeah. I was demonstrating that he's not actually crashing his flat right in the classical sense, like hitting the edge of the cymbal, because that doesn't really put out the most of the sound of a flat ride. So what he uses more like of the shaft area of the stick, and makes sure that like the most area of the stick and all the energy gets on most of the surface of the cymbal, and it really also gets this like high pitched and cool hissy sound on even on the flat ride, because that's also a really cool development he had. I think from '89 on the Steel Wheels tour, he started to use this flat ride, and earlier on, I think it was mostly like this rather larger from 20 inch and up, like regular rides or crash rides. Also, like maybe medium thickness. These you can just crash in the classical sense, and it gets most of the sound out of it. But the flat ride is really. I really had to like starting out with my first flat ride. You see them in my recent videos. See it. It's the same one I've used since 2018. I bought it secondhand. It really took me some time to get used to it. It's a different world than having like just like a large ride cymbal, which yeah, you can crash it like a crash cymbal or something. It's
Yeah, and I seem to notice during the last, I don't know, 10 years or
Mhm.
5 years of them touring, he would often use that ride that was off to his right, front
Mhm.
right, you know, the main
Mhm.
one. He would use it often very generously during a solo or during a
Mhm.
just to lift the song, but in a very gentle way. And then he eventually,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think it's actually the only cymbal he ever. Yeah, maybe the Pasty Crash too, but really like a very small set of cymbals he used both in the rock and roll and in the jazz world. And this flat ride he always uses on all this beautiful quintet stuff too. It's such a delicate, brilliant sound, and not too like high pitched or something. It just like gives you a layer of glitter on top of everything. It works up for rock and roll too, especially with the large tips on the stick, because you can do whatever you want with it if you just know the technique to bring out the most of the sound of the instrument. And that's maybe also like a speciality of Charlie Watts in particular.
I seem to notice that though he switched from using the ride
Mm-hmm.
that way, um, and used a lot of the front crash in front of him
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
really, especially at the end of songs or whenever when it was time to jam or whatever.
Yeah.
He would
Mm-hmm.
use the one directly in front of him to create this very larger sound. But that was something he consistently went to instead of using
Yeah.
the flat ride that
Yeah.
he
More
used
and
a lot.
more towards the end. I know. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't ask him why he
Why
did
do you? Why did you ever?
that.
Did you like that move? Did you notice?
Well, to be completely honest with you, most of the time, but not always, I thought it was maybe a bit too much
Yeah,
towards the end. But I can see where he was coming from. It was just enjoying the groove, basically.
yeah, yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with it. The energy. I think he,
Hmm.
you know, um, it seemed like they were getting punchier and louder during those
Mm.
the later years. So I feel like he
You
was
think so?
adding.
Okay.
In a way, I feel like they were just I don't know balls to the walls at some point. Like those like
Well,
to
yeah.
2015, 2016.
Okay.
It was very like oh man,
Yeah.
it's getting harder and harder.
Well, I wish they would release more like professional recordings from that era, because my way to go listen to this band is, yeah, just like get the Four Flicks DVD, or there's
Yeah,
also some very good recordings from the 90s.
I'll send you
Um,
some because a lot of fantastic bootlegs have come out, audience recordings
okay,
from that
yeah,
period. I listen to a lot of those, so that's why I'm
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
always following the sound.
yeah. But it's interesting that you see like a large transition towards like a boomier, louder sound. Because for me, I always thought that this band, it like in the core, it works like a jazz band, right? It's you can basically compare performances from evening to evening. It's never the exact same, and that's what's so exciting about listening to the same effing song over and over again from different tours, maybe different audio gear. Yeah, but all of that doesn't really matter. It matters how they felt this evening, and all the, for example, the differences in the tempos in the 90s is crazy. I mean, I sent you this recording from Buenos Aires, where they play a jumping jack flash as an encore, I think. It's probably the slowest version I ever heard them play, but it's so tense. And you really see it in Charlie's face. It looks like to Keith Richards. Wow, this was such a boomy sound. And for some reason, even the maybe they mixed it afterwards because they realized how tense the energy was. But the Keith Richards sound, it's more raunchy and punchy. Um, yeah. And at the same gig, and I think my Argentinian friend Dami, he used to, he was there actually.
Cool.
Uh-huh. He's quite a bit older than me. I wouldn't have been able to, to
Ah,
go there in 98, or yeah,
yeah,
1970,
98.
97, 98. Yeah. Never mind. Actually, on this particular gig, Charlie Watts broke his main Yofik China.
Is that
and
right?
and that happened to me with the first one I had from the same company. I had a rough series 20-inch, nerdy details, never mind. But that unfortunately also split from the edge, and that's also what Charlie says in this 2002 or 3 interview they had on just like made on the spot on the tour.
Hmm.
Yeah, you should be a bit careful with these things. They are quite delicate, but fortunately they're like series. You can replace them basically. Yeah, but still, then he went. You actually see on the if you watch the entire movie from this Buenos Aires gig, you see him talking to like his drum tech. Hey, chances it was broken. Can you give me another one? And he brings up like a vintage one, which is this 20-inch, which looks like really like a traditional made in China, Wuhan Chinese symbol or something. And it's the absolute greatest thing that could have happened because it opened so much more energy because it was so much thicker, I think, than the other one that broke during the concert. And yeah, it's just a perfect match for this like slow intro of Keith Richards, and it's so maybe
funny.
even some voodoo going on with this crazy Argentinian audience. Obviously, I think that they must be great. Like,
yeah, and I think that's the thing that responds to me is that sense of risk in the Stones music.
Daring.
You know, and sure, obviously we're not talking about, you know, they're just completely winging it. Obviously they have arrangements, but you know, when to end a song, that is up in the air. That's not necessarily decided, oh, we're doing 16 bars or whatever after this.
Yeah,
no, it's up to Keith to nod and to say, okay, now we're
and when the communication doesn't happen. I saw an interview of Charlie Watts the other day where he said, yeah, I couldn't see Keith because the lights were too bright or something, so I missed the ending. And when it happens, it happens. They have so much like experience. You wouldn't, the entire thing wouldn't break down just because of that. And that's like a confidence you need to build up. And I think a lot of it has also to do with, I think Charlie Watts was a bit, what's the opposite of exaggerating?
the opposite of exaggerating?
Mm-hmm.
Minimizing?
No, he was like playing himself down when he always said, you know,
self-deprecating.
I can't practice at home. He used to say. Here comes the thing. Believe it or not, my granduncle Tino Neff used to know Charlie Watts and Shirley Watts because of Arabian horses. My granduncle, he had in the heyday, he had a farm of 30 Arabian horses, and they met up. They got to know each other at a convention in Eastern Europe at some place. And the story goes that Tino, my granduncle, was once invited to a dinner party at the Wattses in their South England home.
Wow.
And now comes the funny bit. So Charlie Watts, you maybe know that he wasn't like the biggest socializer ever. So yeah, when everything was like in his mood, in his métier of jazz things or art things or something, it was all right. But sometimes it was maybe a bit too much socializing. So he used to at some point at this dinner party, he used to all like half hours. He used to excuse himself, stand up, go to the basement and practice the drums. It's the greatest story ever, and it's completely the opposite of what he's always like. Yeah, he's
always right?
No, I can't practice it.
Wow,
such a cool story.
You know, I'll talk about the element of risk in their live music, where there's many of those live recordings from 72, 73, all the way up to 78, where you just go, are they going to make it? Like this song sounds like it's going to fall apart at any moment, which is part of the excitement of it all.
Some of the nights were really like so risky, and probably you just imagine playing live on a stage in a large stadium in 73. I mean, the monitors weren't probably even invented yet, or not set up properly. In-ear monitors, forget about it.
Yeah,
not a thing yet. So there's these problems, and it really depended on the night. I mean, just the other week I had really like a phase where I heavy rotated Brussels Affair 73. It's the how in the world could they not properly release that and say, we are the Rolling Stones, this is our far best 70s live album, here it is. Yeah,
I know. I mean, when it comes to Brussels Affair, to me, that should have been the album that got the hype and the legend of Get Your Yayas Out. You know, everyone put everyone put the attention and Get Your Yayas Out, which it deserves because, you know, it is what it is. It's great. But it was the only guy in town for the longest time that really represented anything. I mean, you had that, and then what was next after that? The next one was Love You Live. Officially.
You're right, which is really like a long time, and it's so much development going on in between. It's
totally, and Love You Live is mixed weird. It's not. It's just I don't know. It's a very muddy sound to me.
I love the El Mocambo side.
Yeah.
By the way, I love that that they released all of the set. That's a cool live record.
Oh my God, it's
I'm a big
fantastic.
Billy Preston guy. He's
Oh
the
yeah,
greatest.
he's great on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is again another one. Like, where the hell has this been, you idiots?
Mm,
Like, why the hell did you wait so long? Anyway,
yes.
Brussels Affair is to me, and it's still not really available as easily as it should be. Like, it's technically in the deluxe edition of Goat's Head Soup, which is like, come
Yes.
on.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so frustrating that
Unbelievable.
yeah, because I mean,
Well,
people's
I mean everything. This particular night, I mean, every every exact member of the group was on like the peak of their performance. Sound is great. Like Mick Jagger even switches lyrics to French at some point during Angie, which is so cool.
I don't remember that. I'll have to look at that clip again.
Yeah, sure. I think I included it in this playlist I sent you. It should be there.
Yeah, well, you mentioned now something that I think was such a big deal and it needs mentioning and highlighting because yesterday you sent
Mhm.
me a fantastic experiment that went, I think, very, very well, which is you reimagined Angry, the new single, in a different kind of way. And what did you do exactly, Timo?
Well, there's this really great app called Moises. It's like noises, but with an M at the beginning. .ai. It's probably the best app on the market to use AI to remove specific tracks of a song. So I uploaded it, uh, the new song, and then I could strip out basically the drum part of it. And if you then listen to it, it sounds a bit mushy and it's not so cool. But as soon as you lay a drum track over it, it kind of catches up the sound, and it's really a cool experiment. So of course I only have like as a reference, I only have Living in a Ghost Town, like which is like the latest ever released song featuring Charlie Watts, but personally, I love the sound on a bigger bang, the drum sound. So I try to recreate that with just like a simple Glyn Johns drum technique. It's only 4 channels and yeah, some magic tricks on the computer. Not changing musically anything, just tweaking the sound and mixed all everything together again. Yeah, that was a cool experiment. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did it because
Thank you.
it completely screws your head because I've only
Hey,
heard the song "Angry" maybe 15 times by the time I got to listen to yours. So it's not completely burned in my head, but nevertheless, to hear in a experiment, what would Charlie do if he had his hands on this song and you get all the instincts right on what he would have done if he was around for Angry, and it was
exactly. But as I said, I have only like a snapshot, which is heavily influenced. Like it's some from Voodoo Lounge, from Bridges, and then a bigger bang. I yeah, it's not up to me to like further imagine what he would have done now. So it's impossible basically. So, and by the way, it's not that if I it's not true that I only play Charlie Watts style in any setting or something. It's all heavily influenced. I use all the traditional technique all the time with every project I play drums on, but they have different styles, different tastes, and he's my all time favorite and most important influence. I mean, when I was 16, I had my Chad Smith phase. I mean, what he does on the tiptoeing on the hi hat is also very great and cool. By the way, also a very live playing, experimental and risky live band, Red Hot Chili Peppers, also cool. But hey, Charlie Watts, my main heartbeat influence.
I'm glad that you're out there, doing the work and sharing it with people because a lot of people, just like I say, have that idea lost that there was more to him than what people are talking about.
That's true. I mean, you even have these people like Paul McCartney. He really did like a short selfie video when Charlie passed away. Really heartfelt words. but yeah, you can't put the guy into a nutshell. You can he tried to put it into words, and he said something. He was like a rock, you know. He was like he was this rock, and he repeated himself like a broken record or something. Yeah, it's strictly impossible. You have to experience it. Yeah, you have to live it to recreate it.
And if you have ties or connections to jazz, then the vocabulary is there to understand Charlie.
Well, the listening part, it is. I think it's really that's a really cool thing that I heard in a recent. I don't know if it's recent. It doesn't matter. I recently heard in a Daryl Jones interview where he said what he learned from playing with the Miles Davis band is Miles Davis used to tell Daryl Jones, who was like this 21-year-old baby or something, or even younger, you need to listen to everything that's going on in the band while playing as if you were alone in a large house at the top in the bedroom, and you hear a strange noise downstairs. It's this level of like really digging into it and reacting in the moment. It's
That's an amazing quote.
Really cool comparison. Obviously, you shouldn't tense up. that's the wrong approach. But I think like the focusing on just this sense, that's not the easiest thing to do. I think it's maybe we know that all these blind guys have a less of a difficulty doing that because they have one very important other sense less than other people, so they can maybe their brain is maybe more focusing on the hearing part. But we people who see need to learn this. I think it's requires some training.
Yeah, I love that quote by him. I've never heard that quote from him, but it's a deep listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
That's exactly how I feel. Timo, why don't you tell everyone where to find you? You
can find me on YouTube. So actually, I don't know if I want to change my channel name at some point, but my channel name is Timo Lex Music. It's my first and middle name, which is Alexander put together, Timo Lex. And when you Google that and see a picture of the really cool Dizzy Gillespie birds.
Charlie drew that, didn't he?
Charlie drew it.
Yeah.
You will find me here.
That's
my icon.
Oh, fantastic. That's right. I love it.
And well, at some point I maybe want to get tattoos of these two guys.
Oh.
It's just
that'd be special.
It would be cool. On Instagram, it's linked on my YouTube channel. It's my pre-name stylized in French. Timo. Yeah, you'll find it. It's linked everywhere.
Yeah, and I put all the links in the description below. I hopefully put maybe a small little short sample of your Angry.
Sure, absolutely.
Cover so we can people can see little bits, but can get a taste for it, then jump over to your channel for the full video.
Yeah, of course. So basically, just as an addition, I'm usually first uploading everything on YouTube, and not everything is on Instagram too. So if you want to just check out my Jolly Watts tribute videos, I have a public playlist, Jolly Watts Tributes it's called. You find everything there.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll add that playlist to the description.
Sure, please do, yeah.
Timo, what a pleasure. We'll do this again, huh?
Justin, thank you so much.